I always wanted to work for a production company called Films of Record, basically because they have a body of work where they've made socially purposeful films, and some of them have informed social policy. And so I sort of particularly targeted them, and I continued to pester them, and I got the job, and then sort of 4 years later, this is where I am. And the film that I made about adoption was for the same production company. So if I'd have never sort of pestered that series producer to get that job, I wouldn't be sitting here now.
10-year-old Kieran and his sisters were placed for adoption, but it's broken down. Now they're back in foster care.
I'd like to get adopted again and see what it's like again, if it happened twice.
The Truth About Adoption, that was a self-initiated film. I'd already worked on a couple of films about social care, so had a good relationship with Coventry Social Services, and because of the success of the last two films, I was able to it's quite obvious in some respects. I sort of went to them and said, would they be open to a film about adoption this time? And then we went from there. But in terms of the access, it takes a very long time because you start at the top with the Director of Children's Services. You meet with the legal team, we met with the judge of that particular area, and then you meet with the social workers, and then the social workers over a very long time will trust you to meet the children and the families. And then I filmed over the course of 5 months, and the film was broadcast in December, so the whole project was a year in its entirety.
Everyone deserves a second chance. I've changed now. Everyone changes.
Katie and Chloe are 6 and 9. Social workers are worried they're getting too old to be adopted.
Still working hard, looking for mummies and daddies. No news yet.
Do you ask people?
Not loads and loads of people, just a few who I think might be the right ones for you.
Adoption is high on the political agenda currently, and sort of, I don't think it was when I first started the project, but I became more acutely aware of it as the year went on, and I don't think it particularly had any major influence on the content of the film as such, because for me I wanted the film to reflect the world of adoption in its complexity from the perspective of the social workers in the state, from the perspective of the children, and from the perspective of the natural parents, because you don't often see that world from all sides and in such an intimate way. So for me, that was more important. And also a lot of the political debate was about how the process took so long for potential adopters. It wasn't about the children. So I felt very personally that I wanted to show what it was like for those children in 21st century Britain who are waiting for adoptive parents, and what that was actually like, to hopefully sort of inform ministers and people that are actually thinking about adoption at the moment, rather than just thinking about the role of the situation for the adopters.
Do you know what adoption is?
Where you go to one house, then you go to another, then you go to another, then you live there. Then it turns into your mum and dad.
Making a film about adoption generally is quite challenging because there's particular sensitivities around confidentiality, and you're also working with very vulnerable children and families. And I guess the way that we approached it is we have a 3-stage consent process in order to protect the children and families. So initially you sort of just get consent to research and have a conversation with people, then consent to film, then consent to broadcast. So that enables you to make it as safe as possible for those people to take part in that film, and they're able to watch the film before it is broadcast to check it for factual accuracy and things like that. So I think the challenges are basically is to create put a framework in place that enables people to have the space to be able to tell their stories, but not sacrificing the children and families involved. I think the main thing is trust and developing relationships with people so that they trust you, and you've been very honest and direct with them and explained the whole process, the implications of it and what it all means, so that they have a space and environment that they feel comfortable to share with you their story and their truth of their story in an honest way. And also the way in which I work, people watch the film before it's broadcast to check that it's a true reflection of their story. So hopefully that helps with maintaining authenticity and truth. I just feel incredibly privileged to have the opportunity to work with institutions like social services and also to work with the children and families, and that they trust me and to share 6 months of their life.